Welcome everybody to this week's Peaceful Eating Live Q&A. I'm Vanya Fatidis and I'm here to answer questions about food, eating, body image, etc. Well, that's about it actually. How are you doing today? It's a very muggy day here in the southeast of England. It's nice to be back in a t-shirt. Yesterday the heating was on and I made soup, and today couldn't eat the soup because I felt too hot. So yeah, it's a bit up and down here. I wonder how it is in your part of the world and how you're doing. I've just come back from a massage because I've been having something strange go on when I'm sleeping, and my whole right side and my right arm and hand sort of go numb, and pins and needles and things. So I've just been for a, it's not the kind of massage you'd think of when you think, oh, a lovely massage. You kind of lie there and there's the music and it's all soft and lovely. And there might be a few sort of sore bits that are being worked on, but the whole thing's like a oh kind of feeling. This wasn't that kind of massage, but it was really good. And I am feeling a little bit dopey, but I think I'm functioning. So today I am going to be answering three questions, um, or I'm going to be commenting on a few things that have come up in my Facebook group. It's not about the weight. And you are very welcome to come and join my Facebook group. Just search for It's Not About the Weight. I'd love to have you there. So, the questions that I have this week for you are about how to, when you kind of have found yourself repeating old habits and patterns, how do you come back to practicing intuitive eating and mindful eating without turning it into a diet? I've got one question, not really a question, but an issue that somebody brought about having gained weight over the holidays. And then another one about, again, about weight gain and really about beliefs around intuitive eating, and that it pretty much means, according to this person, I think, that you just have to accept gaining and gaining and gaining weight, that eating whatever you want is going to mean that you just are ongoingly gaining weight. So, those are the things I'm going to address today. And let me get the questions up so that I can read them to you. All right, so here's the first question. When we've had a relapse, how do we return to mindful intuitive eating without feeling as though we're going back on another diet? We had friends over on Saturday, and whilst I was mindful enough to notice I wasn't enjoying the food, I wasn't mindful enough to stop eating. I was looking forward to the chocolate slice I'd made, ate some, ended up too full, which is always a trigger for me to eat more, and I overate for the rest of the day. I woke up Sunday with the dreaded food hangover, vowing to return to intuitive eating, but by the afternoon I was binging, thinking I'll start again tomorrow. Typical diet talk. I feel I became disconnected with myself and lost my mindfulness. So, um, I think you're not alone, right? We all have can probably identify with this, and I certainly can too. It happens less and less often to me now. I will sometimes eat to a point of being too full, but that doesn't then trigger continuous overeating for the rest of the day or binging or anything like that. But I certainly have been through what you are going through now. So the good thing is that you can congratulate yourself for is that you were mindful enough to recognize that you had become full. And I think that you really do need to acknowledge yourself for that progress. You also are recognizing the diet mentality. You're seeing, I'll start again tomorrow. You put that in inverted commas. And you say typical diet talk. So I think that this is really good that you are aware of this, and also you are aware of that you were turning it into a diet. Because what you said to me is, how do I return to mindful intuitive eating without turning it into a diet? So So I think you're onto something there because clearly you were turning it into a diet. So let's just have a look at what happened. You kept eating, right? You were full, but you didn't stop. Why do you think you didn't stop? My guess is you didn't stop because already you were thinking, oh, I'll start again tomorrow. There's all this food here. It's really, well, maybe it sounds like it wasn't all delicious because you said you weren't enjoying it, except you wanted the chocolate slice, which you probably did enjoy to some degree, although you were already too full to properly enjoy it. So my guess is that the reason you couldn't stop eating was because there was some diet mentality going on there about, I call it the fuck it switch. You kind of flip the fuck it switch. It's like, oh, what the hell? I've blown it now. I'm just going to keep going and I'll start again tomorrow. So that's the diet mentality, which you recognize. We call this last supper syndrome. It's like you're eating like it's the last supper because you're going to start on your intuitive eating or mindful eating program or whatever you might be calling it tomorrow. So, how do you um, start again, right? And really, with mindfulness, every moment is a new start. Every breath is a new start. You don't need to wait for a new day. That's really is diet mentality. You can simply say to yourself, oops, I overstepped the mark there. Give yourself some compassion. Learn from what happened. So look for what happened here. Where did I lose this connection? Where did I lose connection with my body and my appetite and what I really felt like eating? What was going on in my mind? So doing a bit of a replay and noticing for yourself where were the points along the way where I got hooked back into the diet mentality. Um, and so literally noticing, oops, I've got too full. Okay, sorry, body. Um, I'm going to just listen to my body. I can eat chocolate slice later. Chocolate slice is not going away. What you could do is cut yourself a slice if you're worried that it's all going to get gobbled up by everybody else. Cut yourself a slice and just say, I'm not hungry for this right now, but I do want to have some. So I'm just going to keep it until, I don't feel so full. That might be later that evening. It might be for breakfast. I don't know. It might be later on the next day, or you might not feel like it by that time. I don't know. But that's something you can do for yourself because what you might have been thinking is, I've got to eat the chocolate slice now because it'll all be gone. And back in the diet mentality is, I'm starting again tomorrow. I shouldn't really be eating chocolate slice. And and so that is probably why there's the kind of compulsion to eat beyond where you're already comfortable. So really, it's just literally the moment you notice that you have lost connection with your body, reconnect with your body by taking a breath, by putting a hand on your tummy, maybe, or a hand on your heart, and just saying, it's okay, I'm back. I'm back. And literally, I'm going to eat when I'm hungry again or when I feel like it. But right now, I really am at that full at capacity, and it's not going to feel very good to me. And I think how we do this is really over time and with practice. It really happens with practice and practice and practice. And every time you overstep the mark, you spend a few minutes just going, what happened here? And you replay in your mind what was going on, what were you thinking, what were you telling yourself, how are you feeling? And it will come right as long as you keep starting again. And don't see it as starting again, you know, with another set of rules. Because mindful eating and intuitive eating are not about a set of rules. They are really about tuning into yourself. Does that make sense? There's no kind of rule that you need to be following when you're eating intuitively and mindfully. You are really are taking the cues as much as possible from your body, and sometimes you need to make decisions with your mind, like you are going to be in a meeting and it's going to be a few hours, and you know that you actually do need to eat before, even though you're not particularly hungry at this point. It's kind of a self-care move, right? So you do make those kinds of decisions because it is all about self-care. All right, I hope that that helps, but really what I really want you to know is that it takes practice, and making these kinds of um, I don't even want to call it a mistake, but just these sorts of things that happen, just learning from them, and just the moment you realize you've overstepped, bring yourself back, take a breath, come back into your body, and check in with yourself. Do you still want to eat chocolate slice, or could you save some for when you do want it? Okay, this camera really irritates me with this imbalance here that goes on. Okay, let's move on to the next one. All right, so this person says, I put a little weight on when on holiday last week. I thought I was doing really well with the intuitive eating, but it's only doing well if you're happy with being bigger and heavier. I've been just about okay with a bit of postmenopause weight gain and lived with it, though not exactly ecstatic about it. Where does it stop though? If I just go on eating what I want, I could potentially get bigger and bigger, and I really don't want that. I'm a runner, and all my running friends are slimmer and not only look better than I do, but are faster. Makes me feel a bit rubbish about myself, if I'm honest. I'm hoping it's just a bit of water retention and things will level off now I'm home, as that often happens. And yes, I know I'm not supposed to weigh, but dot dot dot. Okay, so I think I need to put something right here. And that is, it seems to me that you're under the impression that intuitive eating means eating whatever you want with no attunement, with no thoughtfulness, with no particular care, with nothing else mattering to you other than the um, the whim of whatever it is your craving might be at that moment. Okay, that is not intuitive eating. Intuitive eating, when you are practicing intuitive eating, your weight will stabilize, and weight fluctuates. Okay, it's natural for our weight to fluctuate. It's different for different people, but weight will fluctuate in the day, from day to day. But when you're practicing intuitive eating and you have stopped suppressing your weight, you've stopped trying to keep it low through whatever you're doing, you will stabilize. And you might stabilize at a higher weight than you were before because you have most likely been suppressing your weight to some degree. So, what happens when people are in the early stages of intuitive eating, not with everybody, but one of the things that is a very common thing is that people swing from dieting, the restriction of dieting, and they swing to the other side to a free for all, which is what you're calling eat whatever you want. Now, you can do that. You're the boss of your own body. Everybody's the boss of their own bodies, I hope. Um, that's not really true, unfortunately, in the world we're living in. But the ideal is we're the boss of our own bodies, and you can make that choice if you want to, but don't call it intuitive eating because that isn't intuitive eating. Intuitive eating is most of the time eating when you're hungry. So that doesn't mean you never eat when you're not hungry, but it means that most of the time you're eating according to your hunger and fullness signals. Some of the time you eat when you're not hungry. Some of the time you pass a point of comfortable fullness, right? You eat what feels satisfying to you. It looks different on different days. You don't have rules around what you're eating. And your motivation for eating is not about controlling your weight. Your motivation for eating is about taking care of yourself. And that means physically, and it means mentally, and it means emotionally. And intuitive eating is also means putting food in its kind of right place. And I put that in inverted commas because what I mean by that is you stop using food as a proxy to be meeting all sorts of your needs. Okay, you mostly are eating to nourish yourself. You also eat for enjoyment, but you learn how to meet the needs that you have not been meeting, but using food as a proxy. Like you have poor boundaries, and so you go and eat. Or you haven't learned how to be able to tolerate a mix of emotions, and so you eat. Or you're lonely. Well, that's an emotion, isn't it? And so you eat, or bored, and so you eat. These are all emotional reasons for eating. There's a whole lot more to say about emotional eating, which isn't just about eating because of your emotions. You really need to look at it in the context of dieting as well, because that has a big part to play in emotional eating. But I digress. Intuitive eating is about learning how to meet your needs in ways that actually meet your needs as well. All right. And it is also about moving your body in ways that feel good to you. And it is also about incorporating nutritional um, aspects, but not in a rule-based way. But that is a part of intuitive eating. So, at some point down the road, one can look at nutrition, but that is sort of very, very long way down the road because letting go of the rules, letting go of attachment to weight, and all of those are, you can't get into the nutrition piece, I believe, until you really have let go of those rules and let go of the, the attachment to weight loss piece or the attachment to suppressing your weight piece. Of course, you can be listening to what feels good to you, what makes you, you feel energized, and be listening out for all of those things. That is all part of intuitive eating. So it isn't just about following the whim of your taste bud and whatever you feel like eating at the moment. That is not intuitive eating. It's a style of eating, but it isn't intuitive eating. So I hope that I've got that clear, um, for you. And it's so nice to see a few messages here. Oh, yay. Um, Thank you, Mia. She says, thank you for being live right now. And Kathy saying, so glad you're addressing this. And she says, I think intuitive has to also mean mindful. Yes. Well, um, mindful eating is something that you can incorporate into intuitive eating. There are different things, but you definitely eating more mindfully um, is definitely helps us connect with our bodies, to know what we need, to enjoy our food more. There are many incredible benefits to mindful eating, but there are different things. All right. Um, so let me just make sure I have responded to all those, to all the thoughts that I had about that. Oh, yes. So one more thing that I wanted to say to you was about talking about your comparing yourself to your friends who are, you say, um, I'm a runner and all my running friends are slimmer and not only look better than I do, but are faster. It makes me feel a bit rubbish about myself. Okay. One of my most favorite beloved teachers used to say something like, Um, the the path to misery is paved with comparison. It really is. Comparing your previous self to your current self can create misery. Particularly if you're comparing your appearance previously, um, as you get older, whatever, weight change, um, hair color change, skin change in terms of more wrinkles and hair growing out your chin, and et cetera, et cetera. Bits, gravity having its way with our bodies as we get older. Comparing ourselves to other people and comparing ourselves to how we used to look is a surefire way for you to feel miserable. And um, and saying that you think they look better than you is a value judgment that I would challenge you on that. The only reason that you think that they look better is because you've been conditioned to believe that smaller is better. It's not an objective truth, it's very much a subjective thing, but it's a subjective thing that has come through all of the things that we've been told, all of the images that we've been exposed to, all of the ways that we have seen smaller people having greater social currency, um, and treated better. And there is a reality to that, or that fat people are often treated poorly at the doctor, uh, out and about, etc. So um, you know a lot of the reason why you think it looks better is because it's something that you have learned. You have somebody coming from a different culture, you will see that they have a different aesthetic. They might think that smaller is not better or prettier or more desirable. So it's purely cultural conditioning. Um, all right, so I think that that is it with your question. And let me go on to the last one. Um, and here it is. All right, this occurred to me whilst watching Tom Kerridge's program yesterday. He's a big chap with a big appetite and a chef, so does not want to eat boring, tasteless food or go hungry. So he cooked with some modified ingredients and upped the exercise, losing over a third of his body weight. He keeps an eye on his weight in what seems to be a non obsessive way and says it's okay to eat any food, but with more of a moderation approach. Is this really so bad? I mean, can you strike some sort of balance where you don't eat whatever you want, but have occasional treats, thus don't pile on weight and then feel miserable? What if, quite simply, you're happier when you're not gaining weight? I'm aware of the set point thing, but if it shifts and is just higher than you like, can't you strike a deal and settle for it perhaps being a bit higher than you'd really like, but a bit lower than it would be if you ate everything you wanted? I know the true intuitive eaters will say, no, you can't, because you're still buying into diet culture. My question, however, is can there be a sort of middle way? All right, this is such a great question and topic. Oh, hang on, let me just go back to see what is being said. So Mia says, excellent focus, mindful and intuitive eating, letting go of the rules. Yep. And Kathy says, and who knows, smaller people may be white knuckling with food to stay that way. Absolutely. That is exactly what might be happening. Not for sure, but it might be. You don't know what people are going through to maintain their smaller body. Some people just naturally are that way, and some people aren't, and they dedicate a huge amount of their time and energy to maintain that. All right. So, um, let me go back to this whole topic about Tom Kerridge. I need a drink of water, actually. Okay. So I didn't have time to prepare this one because of my massage and my sort of, you know, having to wash my hair after the massage and all of that. So I'm just going to do this one on the hoof. And so again, I think that you are misunderstanding what intuitive eating actually is. It doesn't mean you are eating without attunement. Now, I don't know about Tom Kerridge's journey, okay? I don't know what he was doing. Perhaps he was eating without attunement, right? Perhaps he was not listening to his own body. Perhaps he was a lot of the time eating when he wasn't hungry. Perhaps he was a lot of the time eating beyond a comfortable fullness. Um, I don't know. So who knows? What he would, how he would be now, how he'd be feeling, how he'd be engaging with food if he wasn't watching what he ate and wasn't weighing himself and, sort of um, being watchful, being vigilant. I mean, it sounds like he's watchful, but he's not. Um, he's not on the extreme end of obsessiveness. But look, being watchful takes up time and energy. And is that what you want for yourself? And as I said before, your body, your rules. You do you. You know, if that works for you, by all means, go and do it. But you are here because something hasn't been working for you. And so, you know, Tom Kerridge is Tom Kerridge. He's doing him, and maybe that works for him. And let's see, right? Let's just see if that actually does work for him long term. It might not. Be good to check in with him in 5 years' time and see if how he's doing with it. If that just feels easy to him, and it's he can do that. Great. Not everybody can do that. So, but what I do want to say is that intuitive eating is the middle way. Mindful eating is the middle way when you are listening to your body. You're eating what is satisfying to you in that moment, and you're moving on with your life. And you're not weighing yourself and you're not obsessing about that, but you're listening. Listen, if you knew that you could eat chocolate cake or ice cream or baklava, whatever, literally anytime you wanted it. If your house was stocked to the gills with all of the foods that you think you should only have on occasion, do you think that you would want them all the time? I bet you wouldn't. If you really, really, really knew that you could have anything you wanted anytime, and there was going to be no impact on your weight, do you think you'd want to eat chocolate cake, cheesecake, crisps, chocolate, whatever, all the time? I bet you wouldn't. I bet you'd get sick of it. The reason that you have these kinds of forbidden foods is because you believe they're going to impact your weight. But the irony is that when you really give yourself the permission to have what you want, that you put your attention on your attunement. Are you enjoying it? Does it taste good? How's it feeling in my body? Is this satisfying? Am I getting full? Am I ready to stop? You would be able to eat, whatever you wanted, and your weight would stabilize. And as I said before, it might stabilize at a higher weight than you were before if you've been suppressing your weight. So I put it to you that intuitive eating and mindful eating are, in fact, the middle way. All right, let me see if there is anything else anybody wants to say. No. All right. Well, I really do enjoy answering these questions and giving you feedback on things, and I hope you find it helpful. Now, if you like what I'm saying, I suggest you go to my website and download my free ebook called A Guide to Peaceful Eating. It's at peacefuleating.co.uk/subscribe, and you'll also get a subscription to a free mini e-course called What to Pack for Your Peaceful Eating Journey. And you will also get my weekly newsletters. And stay tuned because I am going to be running, I think, a pretty amazing free event over a whole week in a few weeks. So sign up so you can find out when it's all happening and what's going to happen. And I'd really love to see you here there and get to know you better because this is a bit, one way. So I want to get to know people better. All right, take care. Have a great week and talk to you soon. Bye for now.